Okay, let's just take a look at our pre-made game again, and let's see. You can see he's playing his idle animation, and I have this animator window open, and it's just I have this. You can see that it's the idle animation here. Now let's take a look real quick. On our character, we have this thing called an animator, and there's different ways of looking at the way Unity uses animation. It has an animation, which is like keeping track of like all the different sprites or body parts that are moving. It has an animator, which is like it's like an engine that could like switch from the different animations. So it's weird. The words are kind of too similar for my taste. And then inside the animator, you need something even different called an animator controller. And I just want to put that out there right away because it might get confusing and it takes a while to get used to these words. So let me delete this because we're going to go ahead and create this right now. Okay, so in my original game, the pre-built one, you'll see in this assets folder, I had an animation folder. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So in assets, let's right click in here and go create folder. And we're going to call this animation, and anything that has to do with animation, we're going to put it in here, animation. Okay, so first of all, on the character, let's select the character, and we need to add a component. And I started typing animator already, animator, and so we need an animator. Okay, this thing allows your character to be animated, to have animations. And it's like the engine, it's called the animator. Okay, and now we need a controller to go in there. We're going to put that inside this folder here. So let's open up the animation folder, right click, and we're going to create an animation controller. Okay, we need to create an animator controller. I'm even messing up the name now. Animator controller. Okay, and we're going to give it a name. Right when we create it, we're going to call it character controller. We could search for that whenever we want. Okay, so now this thing needs to go onto our characters. We have the character selected. See this empty field here? You could put it on there a couple of different ways. You can click this little circle and pick it there, or you could drag it. Whoops, you have to click the character, or you can drag it from here into there. Both ways will work. I wrote character control instead of character controller. Let's see what happens if I rename it here. Control, put the ER at the end, and let's see if it updates just for the heck of it. It did. And again, I could pick it here. So, because sometimes when you're making games, you'll have a bunch of different types of controllers. You know, maybe you'll have like a hero controller, an enemy controller, and they could do different types of animations. Okay, so now, so let's get this window open here, the animator. If you don't have this window, it's window, you go to animation, and it's animator right there, okay? That is different than this one. If you don't have this one, you're going to need that as well. So you have animator, that's like the engine, and the animation is, let's just look at it this way. The animator is like the book, and the animation is like different animated stories inside the big book called the animator. I don't know. That's maybe a way to look at it. Okay, so now we have this character, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create his first animation. And to do that, in this animation window, you might have to resize it so you can see this create button. We're going to hit create, and we're going to save it into, make sure we save it into the Dance Dance Animations folder, and we're going to call this idle. That's going to be our first animation. We're going to hit save, and now we have in our animation folder a new animation called idle. Okay, now really interesting. This is a different way than animating in other games that we've done before. Before we did like sprite after sprite after sprite on the timeline, and you could totally animate that way. You could have a 3D model and build the animations outside of Unity and do it that way and just import the animation all at once. Here's another way. I just wanted to teach you another way in case it's useful to you. So you have this idle animation selected in the animation window, and now you could select these different pieces of the character and just make sure it still says idle right there. And now you can add properties. Basically what I'm going to do is move the head side to side. So I'm going to hit add property, and we're gonna open up this where it says head, and the transform can deal with its location and stuff. And you're going to open that up, and we're going to add the position value here. Okay, and then on frame, you could change this sample frames. I'm going to make it like 12 frames per second instead of 60. That's going to be way too fast. So I changed that to 12. If you don't have that sample window, you can find it in here by frames, and I believe in here's, yeah, no, not there. I guess it's these little buttons here. Okay, now the head position, open this up, and watch just real quickly. I'll change the X value to like 3 and push return. And if I go into this scene, did that move it at all? It should have, right? Let's see. Let me go to 2D so I can see this better. And animator, animation, idle, idle. How about we actually move into the future? Oh, it did it. It was like a delayed reaction. It's weird. It didn't. Let me zoom way out. This animation had ending keyframes all the way at frame 60. I didn't catch that. So you might. I'm swiping on the mouse like it's like an iPhone, and it zoomed all the way out here. I could highlight these, and I could delete them. Push delete on my keypad, and now all I have is the position at 3. So this is going to be a little challenging if it's your first time. So right now, for 1 full second, I have 12 frames. So I'm going to set his head back to 0. And then at frame 6, I am going to, how do we do this? We need to hit this little, add a keyframe right here. See this little dot here? And then now I can move it over, say 1 on the X. Oh, that's way too much. Maybe 0.2. And then we're going to move it down to like, whoa, that's way too much. So we'll go like maybe to 1. Nope, still too much. 0.1. No, what it was at 1, 2. Okay. So once I set it here at this, right where this is all lined up, and if I drag the mouse back, you'll see that it goes like that. Okay, let me show you how I want to go from here on 6, and I want to, at frame 12, where the end of this 1 full second is, I want it to go back to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this, and I'm going to copy it. How can I do that? I'm going to control right click it. No, I'm going to actually just click this top dot, and I'm going to go Command C on my keyboard. So edit copy, I suppose, maybe, so I could show you if you're not listening, edit copy. Now I'm going to go to frame 12 and paste. Okay, so if I swipe forward and back, his head's kind of bopping up and down. If I don't, if it's going way too low, then I'll go 2.2 maybe, or 2.4. And so he kind of just going side to side, kind of funny. Okay, and then let's see what happens. Since it's the first animation right here, I believe it'll just loop forever. Let me push play and see if that's in fact what happens. Yep. And if that's the right speed, good. If not, you could change it. You could select, make sure you're on idle. And let's just say if I change it to like 30 frames per second, that's going to make it go way too fast. Let's see what it looks like. Or maybe it's the speed. Yeah, I don't know. So let's go back to character, or click on head. Let's change it back down to 12 like I had it. You can play around with that. Okay, so I'll stop this video here with the idle animation, and then the next ones we'll make I think I called it the floss and the trip or something like that, where he trips. Okay, so go ahead and here's the scene view, here's the animator view. Go ahead and have fun creating your first idle animation and have fun. Oh wait, whoa. I think I did this leg as well. Let me do another part of the character real quick before I let go. Okay, so again, you make sure it says idle, because as you're handling a bunch of different, it's kind of weird. When the animator plays this idle animation, I guess any piece that's labeled has anything going on in its idle section, it'll play at the same time. So the right leg, we're going to do that same thing. We're going to go add property. I'm going to go leg right. I'm going to do the transform, and I'm going to do position. Okay, and then I'm going to set it to, it's already set at 12. And then I'm going to go ahead and about halfway through, I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to make sure my mouse is at 6, and I'm going to move the legs position up to say 0. That's way too high. Let's go -2, -1, no, -1.8. That's good. So let's see. It starts here, goes up, and back here. Now, the reason why I didn't have to copy and paste the first frames to the end is because I just didn't delete them. And so there it is. So when I push play, his head will move and his foot will move. Okay? And you can make your idle pose however you want, whatever's cool. I just did it that way. Okay, go ahead and have fun. Have fun.